This video has long been waited to get done. Anyways, welcome back, and for those new here, welcome aboard. Hope you stay and enjoy it. So, for Emblem Engage, I've been meaning to play this game for a while now, but my Three Houses videos delayed my playing of the game, so it was only a matter of time until I finally bought the game and played it. Note that I will not be talking about the DLC. At the time of recording, I'm not sure if I will pick it up, and if I do, I'll let you guys know in the community post. Anyways, that out of the way, let's get started on one of the weaker aspects of the game. The story. The story of FE Engage is fine. It's not certainly bad by any means, but the story feels to play it safe, if you will. While yes, it takes a lot of awakening similarities, what happens in the story is like this. I'll just start each segment with the characters introduced, gameplay, and then follow up with the story every chapter. This will also be split into a few parts because this script is really long, okay? This episode alone is only 4,000 words. It'll take some time to get everything done, but by the time that happens, I will have a supercut version made. And yeah, anyways, let's just get started. The game begins with a opening cutscene of Alear trying to get through some palace doors, and as you get there, you confront this player's main villain, Sombra. In this game, which is basically a deity in this world, a fell dragon, and then Alear is the opposite, a divine dragon. The divine dragon in this game is basically like the divine dragon wants to go somewhere, everyone agrees, and rarely does anyone question Alear. There's not really many characters who speak to you normally, everyone just gives you praise. Listen, I get that you can't voice custom names and all, but it would be nice that the characters say your actual name, Alear for example, instead of Divine One every time. But the early game is you waking up and doing a few tutorial maps, like the prologue is just, you know, showing the engage ability and all that good stuff, so I'm gonna skip that. The first map is another tutorial map. You're introduced to the characters of Clan, Fram, and Vander. Clan, he's okay. I don't like him as a character that much. He also shares the same voice actor of Deku from My Hero Academia, so I think of him more as Deku rather than Clan. And I don't like Deku as a character, so I just don't like Clan. And as a unit, he's really bad. He has no magic growth in any of that sort of stuff. There are also better mages that pull up anyway. Fram is also Clan's sister. She is an energetic girl who is a huge fan of the Divine Dragon. She has some good support conversations as well that I really like. Her supports with Goldmary and Kigetsu, for example, are really good. She's a good character, but as a unit she's okay at. She's a good early game healer and can even use staves, making her a martial master with the ability Chain Guard, blocking any attacks from incoming enemy units. Using staves and heal is what's best for Fram in my opinion. You also meet Vander, who is the Shagan for this game, but you might as well just bench him from the beginning. I benched him after chapter 5 and he is not worth using or investing much into. His only benefits is he is the only axe user in the early game while having good defense to hold off flyers and any strong enemies before you bench him. And he's a good axe unit for a few chapters and that's it. Chapter 1 and 2 are just tutorial maps, so it's difficult to lose your units. And chapter 2 is a mock battle, but Lumera has Sigurd while you have Marth. So now it's a good time to explain the emblem, so might as well get it out of the way. Marth is a good emblem, having divine speed and the ability to break defenses, meaning that you give an extra attack when breaking an enemy while having a weapon advantage. Divine speed is also quite nice in dodging and doubling enemies when necessary. Lotus Star Rush is not a bad move early game, but after that it's not as useful unless you're using like a rapier to kill a calf, for example. It's nice early game, but that's it for Marth's ultimate. But Marth is a really good emblem and the first one you get, so it's pretty nice. Next is Sigurd, which can move across the map and reposition the unit by 2 or 3 tiles no matter what. That is mainly what he is moved for. You can just send someone in the middle of the map like a dodge tank and just enemy phase kill all the units. His ultimate is Override. It's good, but by the time you get him back, I rarely used it because the enemies are either really bulky or just his ultimate would put my user in a bad position unless the unit is a dodge tank. Chapter 1 begins with you waking up from an 1,000-hour nap and meeting Clan, Fram, and Vander, who are your stewards. So y'all all head out to go to Lethos Castle, and you go to the grassland and all you see is a bunch of corrupted trying to ambush you out of nowhere. Chapter 1 is ultimately a tutorial map, so it's just about activating your emblems, so it's not that hard to deal with. Chapter 2 is a mock battle of fighting Lumera and her fabrications, which is basically the divine version of the corrupted. It's basically the exact same thing. Aside from Lumera being able to move across the map, there is not much else to write home about. As I said, Sigurd can move pretty far and has Rider's Mane, so they'll put Vander in range. And defeating her takes you to the night where Alear is sleeping and has a nightmare of an evil version of herself.
Why are you here alone?
We wake up and suddenly there's an attack at Letho's castle. The reason why that is because there is an Emblem vault containing a good amount of Emblem rings. So we head there and there's a lot of Pegasus Knights coming in the map in chapter 3. Granted, not all of them are triggered, but still with 4 units, only this map will be tough. Until some units arrive.
Made it. And not a moment too soon. The Crown Prince Alfred of Firenze is here to help. Let me at him.
These 3 units are Alfred, Etienne, and Boucheron. Alfred is the Prince of Firenze and starts as a cav, and your first main lance user. Etienne is your early game archer. She has good strength growth rate. She lacks speed, however. Boucheron is, okay, I won't sugarcoat it, he's terrible. Very slow, strength is iffy, hit rate is abysmal. The defense could be a redeeming factor, but in hard and above, it's not extremely reliable to use Boucheron at all. He's not worth using or investing much into. Chapter 3 has Pegasus Knights and some archers. Vander is good at holding off these Pegasus Knights and tanking them. Etienne makes quick work of the Pegasus Knights since bows are effective against flyers and you move your way through the map as the boss does as well. She's a filler boss, so there's nothing story relevant about her, so just use Clan to do some magic damage, finish her with Alir for some extra EXP, and you make it to the ring vault and see a hooded figure, where Alir attempts to fight it, but the mysterious figure disappears only for it to spawn back in and attempt to kill Alir with some magic spell. Lumera, in the nick of time, comes in and takes a devastating blow to protect you. She transferred her divine dragon powers over to you, so no matter what, she is gone. The scene is quite touching too, see? But can a single Fire Emblem parent survive and not do the tradition of dying? Even so, there is not much we can do as she is basically dead. Alfred makes a request of asking for aid from the queen at first, now dead. Alir is basically the new divine queen or whatever. Alir knows she has the responsibilities of the queen, so she presses on and we head to Firenze, the area Alfred is the prince of. But before we do that, let's head to Somniel, this game's hub world. As much as I want to jump to the next chapter, the Somniel is truly an area where the player can relax and be at ease, knowing they have some downtime before the next map. You can cook food to get buffs, buy weapons, ores them to be stronger, buy healing items, staves, and tonics to assist your units to stay on the battlefield and be much stronger. Buy clothing items for cosmetics, train your units, and build emblem bonds in that arena. Fish for relaxation in the pond, do workout minigames. But these are useless after you start buying the tonics. Pet the Somniel mascot, Sami. I named mine Shuko anyway. But that is the gist of what you can do in the Somniel, aside of a few things that aren't useful to me personally. Maybe the ring temple to make the sub rings, but I didn't do much with it. The Somniel is pretty good and miles better than the monastery. What makes the Somniel good is that you don't need to do as much work in the Somniel. Cooking the food, the arena, and forging weapons is all you really need to do to get a good use off the Somniel. You can jump from map to map if you like, but that would seem like a bad idea in maddening. But that's the Somniel in a nutshell. Basically, a prep world or relaxing world, depending on how you view it. Anyways, chapter 4 is the first chapter where you finally have a prep screen. You didn't have these for the first 3 chapters. This is the map where you pick up Louis, Chloe, and Celine. They spawn right off the map surrounded. Let me introduce the character of Chloe, Louis, and Celine. Chloe and Louis are Celine's retainers, and Celine is Alfred's sister, or the Princess of Firenze as well. Celine is a good mage, but unfortunately she gets replaced by another mage soon after. But she can still be good, and it's worth investing a bit into her. Chloe is a really good unit, but I decided to not use her in my playthrough for some reason, whatever the case could be. Louis as well, he's a good tank for the early game, but after chapter 11 he does fall off quite a bit. But that's it for Louis. Louis can still be a unit if you make him a cav, but I just decided to not use him because I didn't want a 4-move unit who can die from mages that are quite frequent in the later game maps to die often. So Louis, he can be a good unit, but I just decided to not use most of the Firenze units aside from Etienne. That's pretty much it. The boss is another filler character. This map is mostly a bunch of corrupted while buying time for Chloe and Louis to get to your squad. The boss is the armor knight, so you are fine just using Celine, Clan, and finishing with the Lear with the rapier. You also get Celica, so warp Ragnarok to your heart's content. While she has not much physical defense, so do be careful using her with Celine. Celica is a magic emblem. She has warp Ragnarok and some other tomes you get for her upgrades and bond levels. She has magic boost, so putting her on a mage is a no-brainer. So you head to Firenze Castle, and your objective is to protect the queen from getting assassinated. And you meet Zephyr, a hound, one of the 4 hounds even. She talks a lot of garbage, yet sits out on this map. You have yet another filler boss who will die because he is subordinate. I forgot his name, but there is no point in remembering it. This map is fairly difficult since you can't just directly move straight to the boss by slowly walking your way up. There are couple units to kill and some archers, calves, but this is the first map where their reinforcements spawn. I believe mostly calves, so it takes time to kill the boss, and he doesn't have much movement, so you kill him.
You invaded my castle and threatened my mother. I'll slay you where you stand.
Oh, the Prince of Flowerland is threatening me. I'm real scared.
Raise your sword!
I will show you no mercy. Prepare to die.
Ooh, the Divine Dragon. If I kill you, I won't have to lick her boots anymore.
I had to stop you.
He runs off and gets killed off screen in the following chapter. Chapter 6, you go into some dark forest at nighttime in the ruins to collect the next emblem, Mikaya, until you run into Yunaka, who stole the emblem and tries to lie out of the situation until we see a bunch of enemies looting a village. And this is where one of the most hated map styles for me comes in, Fog of War maps. Now, normally the main gimmick of Fog of War maps is that you can't see jack shit. However, an Engage says fuck you and makes it to where you can't move past the darkness. You have to use torches, and it's all quite annoying because it hinders your movement. It's like walking on the fire tiles. Mikaya is easily the best emblem, being able to warp handfuls of units at a time. She is best used when using staffs such as obstruct, warp, and rewarp. Absolutely incredible support emblem. She's not an offensive mage, but brings a lot more options to the table by her AoE staff effects. But it's an entire map. And we end up killing the boss and moving on to the next chapter where things actually start moving in the story. You go to Brodia, which is located next to Farinay, up north of Farinay. You head in there to get into the castle. However, since the corrupted have basically pulled up everywhere, you are stopped by Citron and Lapis. You say that you're the Divine Dragon and all is well. You go to the bridge and meet Miss VTuber or Hortensia. She has Lucina equipped as her emblem ring, and the emblem rings that look red, blue emblems have free will, so they have divine power. Red emblems have no free will and are bound to the wearer, which have Fell Dragon aura, so that's why Lucina has a blank stare. You also see Gold Mary and Rosado on this map, and are Hortensia's retainers. You are also introduced to Lapis and Citron, as well as Alcrest, which Lapis and Citron are Alcrest's retainers. Lapis joins your team, and Lapis is a sword user. She is decent for an early game unit, and she starts off with a blade type weapon. These weapons can smash the enemy, moving them back a tile or two depending on the class, and these can be good on tanks such as Louis, but getting potentially doubled for slight damage and a smash isn't worth it. So personally, I didn't use the Great Axe or Great Lance weapons. Citron is a mage and pretty much one of the best mages in the game. She doesn't have the best defense in the game, but her magic growth is consistent. She also isn't fast, but she hits hard like a truck anyway, so I put Citron in my starting lineup since that map. Alcrest, I decided to not use him because I was using Etier, and Alcrest seemed pretty weak, and I could have used Lynn maybe, but Etier has the better strength growth, so I chose her instead of Alcrest. I'll try him out on Maddening and see what he does, but for now, I chose not to use him. So, Chapter 7 is a fairly difficult map. There are flyers coming in closing on you, so you turtle for quite a bit. There are also armor unit as well, paladins that aren't the most difficult to take out because breaking and all that good stuff. Defeating Rosado was quite easy, but Gold Mary has the ability to reduce hits from male units. Why? Because this is the definition of elegant, even if Citron is the more elegant one in my opinion. But Gold Mary isn't the hardest to kill because of female units, and Hortensia has Lucina, and Lucina doesn't do much when equipped with Hortensia. She doesn't even activate it, and doesn't do much with baiting a chain guard, so just bait with that, and a Bozier is fine enough to finish her off, and that's Chapter 7.
Here! Return the ring.
No way! I'm the one who's after the rings. We could have done this the easy way, but no!
I'm stubborn. I'll help.
Oh, I lost. No fair! I lost? Well, you're not getting my ring.
So, next chapter, you head into Brody Castle where you meet Diamond and his father, King Morian. Come to find out, Diamond and Alcrest are siblings, so they're brothers. They join our team for the next chapter. You also meet Amber, who is an alpaca master, or a legend as he dubs himself. He is a pretty good unit. I really like him as a character, especially one of the Brody units. But the Brody units themselves, I really like them for the most part. Citron is my favorite Brody unit easily. Alcris, I personally don't like him that much as a character, but as a unit, he seems fine. He's an archer, so he'll have good hit rates and all that good stuff. Diamond, he's the brawler or barbarian, but not completely stupid. He's a smart king, but just has a lot of physical strength. And Lapis, well, she's just a female sword fighter, or just an early game sword fighter. She seems more like one of those modest retainers, if you will. And Citron, well, she's the best girl, so argue with the wall. Yunaka is the front-putting, zappy, cheerful girl, high papaya, cheerful girl, basically. I mean, there's obviously a lot off about her personality because she's clearly putting up a front, especially when you watch the supports and all, but we'll get to that. We end up getting Roy as well, so that's cool. Roy isn't necessarily the best offensive emblem, but he has this one ability, Holdout. This ability allows you to damn near tank any enemy attack and uses with advantage. You can do some crazy enemy face sweeps in a good portion of maps. The meeting is cut short when Ivy pulls up and threatens to infiltrate Brodia. So let's get into chapter 8, which is a defend map. So chapter 8, we can't let Ivy or any enemy units get through, and Ivy has Leap, who has the ability Adaptable, so you can freely kill with the bow because she has a tome. Diamond, who joins you, is a lord, but you can't reclass him until the next chapter, so he is forced to deploy with Roy. And here's another complaint that I have. In some maps, units join with emblems, but they are green units, meaning you can't trade or really interact with them in the prep screen unless you either talk to them or you start the map. So it's only when you start the map when they become blue units. So you can't change their weapons or an emblem ring that you'd like for them to equip. You cannot do that in the prep screen until the next chapter. It's ultimately just a nitpick at the end of the day. There are a couple of close calls because of the Pegasus Knight. There's also reinforcements that pull up, but we still get through them and take care of Ivy no problem.
With it. Enough! Unbelievable. I can fight.
My turn.
You're dead. I won't fall here.
We go back to the king and says he's going to go out there and take care of the incoming battle and come back safely. What an incredible way of giving subtle foreshadowing from the writer. I knew damn well he was dead, and what do you know? He's f***ing dead, okay? The king of Illusia pulls out Lyn and just one-shots him. Don't get me wrong, Lyn is powerful, but still, that's bullshit. So, chapter 9, we fight Ivy again, and this was the king saying, "Yeah, my daughter, you're dead anyway. Go and buy us time before the enemy shows up." So we fight Ivy and fold her like a lawn chair, and her retainers, Zelkov and Gegetsu, pull up. Gegetsu is strong and has a Wu down for a weapon, who has fairly high crit rate depending on the unit. His strength and speed is no joke. He's also fairly tanky as well, but not too tanky where you can't fight him at all. Zelkov is also another thief similar to Yunaka. He uses knives and such. He's quite fast, but the poison we can use a bit. So if it's stacked, it can be pretty dangerous. We fight Ivy again, but she is much weaker without an emblem. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but she has 2 health bars in both maps. In this game, units can have multiple health bars with life stones, so a certain unit with Roy can be very annoying. Ivy wasn't too hard to kill with the right setups. Ivy leaves knowing that what she is to her father and leaves us be along with her retainers. We end up running into Vale out of nowhere, but she guides us to the next location, which is the Stynia Cathedral in Illusia. We end up in the temple and are greeted by the king, King Hyacinth. So you know how I told you a little while ago that King Morian got folded like a launcher once Lyn came out of King Hyacinth? He's back, but corrupted. So he is dead and a zombie, yet powerful still. So we kick off the map in the entrance of the temple, but earlier in the cutscene we were just inside the temple talking to the king. Also in chapter 10, this is the first time you hear of the stalwart preparations theme. This preparation theme basically signifies that the chapter you're playing, narratively and gameplay wise, means actual business. So gloves off, kiddo. We're getting down to some real shit right here. The thing I do not like about this game so far is that some chapters feel pretty irrelevant narratively. Don't get me wrong, you need some chapters to pad out the story, but narratively they're just a waste of my time. It does happen in a few chapters, like 2 chapters here before chapter 10, because some of the chapters here are just filler maps, and the story backs that up as basically not taking itself seriously. So there's a good amount of filler maps in this game, and the main story maps are scattered by every 2-3 chapters, which kind of sucks, but regardless, that's just how the game is. I mean, gameplay wise it's fun to have more maps, but narratively it's just not good. So you're taking gameplay and you're losing your story. The storytelling in this game is just, it's all over the place. It's not bad, but it's not great either. Anyways, Hortensia gets Byleth this time, and she can break you out of nowhere, so be careful of her or her enemy phase ability. Goldmary and Rosado show up and are back to haunt you, so you take care of them no problem because, well, they're easy to kill. You fight King Morian, who is tanky but not the most difficult to kill. He has the tomahawk, but if you make him equip a sword, you can just chip him down with bows and mages.
I'll help.
Strong of body, strong of heart.
Then another threat. Hyacinth has Lyn equipped, so he summons doubles who chain attack your team. It's better to just kill him only while his clones chain attack you. The doubles here are in the far side of the back and not worth killing, so you defeat him. It's too late, however, and Sombron is now a dragon. Hyacinth does his "It's an honor, my lord" monologue. He does all that preparation, getting the emblems from Leto's castle back in chapter 3, using Ivy and Hortensia, which are siblings by the way, to die essentially. All of this just for him to get killed by Sombron. So much for reviving his dragon form. But after that, Vale and the 4 hounds spawn in and introduce themselves. So let me introduce the 4 hounds real quick. These 4 are Mavir, Marnie, Zephyr, and Gris. Mavir is a stone-faced, stern type of hound, and he is the one who only cares about fulfilling the orders of Lady Vale or Lord Sombron in this case. Zephyr is the leader of the 4 hounds and the one who is the closest with Lord Sombron. She is a dragon mage, so she basically lived 1,000 years plus, similar to a Lear. Marnie is the condescending, talking shit that she is. She has an annoying personality. I think she's one of the more, I'm not gonna say hated, but she's one of the more unserious hound of the 4. And then we have Gris, the weird masochistic guy that takes a liking to getting their ass kicked. But those are the 4 hounds, alright? And the most unserious, if not probably top 5 most unserious Fire Emblem villains. And there's a lot of unserious Fire Emblem villains. Okay, look, there's only a few chapters where I can take them as an actual threat, and this is one of them. Sombron suddenly starts stealing the rings and you're basically powerless. It would be a nice twist if Marth didn't make it so obvious in the preview before combat. So far the writers have played it safe, aside from this chapter having the turn of events that, oh shit, we have to go type of feeling. Previous chapters there was rare suspense. The voice direction in this game is bad, and I don't mean to say that the voice actors were bad. Hell, they did a great job with the work they were given. It's just for a dark and gritty plot the writers are going for, it falls flat. Anyways, we must run away and we end up at a forest map. Vale is stacked with 4 health bars and swarms our team with enemies. These are series battles, mind you, so there is no somnial break after this, meaning that you must do this map no matter what or retry from chapter 10. Any units you put on the starting lineup must stay on the starting lineup, so you gotta be prepared. But the map is pretty much from getting to point A to point B, making sure your units stay alive. Later in the map, the 4 hounds pull up to make sure you are dead.
Hounds, take care of these pests.
I understand what must be done.
Which of those morons is gonna be my first victim?
Orders are orders. I just hope the other side gets a few good slices on me.
We won't let them escape, Lady Vale. You have my word.
More enemies are coming.
They're cutting us off. How can we endure this?
But Ivy and her retainers show up and stole 2 emblems and a time crystal. This way is version of rewinding, which you could not do earlier in chapter 11. Lyn is stuck on Ivy while Lucina is stuck on Alir. You just need to kill these 2 enemies, or one of these 2 enemies occupying these 2 escape tiles, and you should be fine. The trees would be quite good for covert units like Yunaka and Etsie, but Etsie has low HP, so she's kind of a liability if you want every one of your units to make it out alive on classic mode. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave it here. here for now. Since Engage is such a long game, clocking in at 70 hours for me, I'll split this into 3 or 4 parts, each covering a different part of the story and gameplay, so be on the lookout for those. As always, thank you for watching, see you in part 2, and as always, enjoy yourselves and have a good one.